all the stuff is living life in purpose, right? And for me, I love the fact that I have a platform, right, where I can learn, I can grow, and I can pass that on to others. And at the same time, they can learn and they can grow and they can pass it on to others. So it's energy feeding energy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, there's a question that people ask all the time. As you think about your dreams, your goals. That's not good. As you think about your dreams and your goals, whether you've been in the business 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, some of you longer, right? And some of you are just getting started, right? So you think about there's always, in success, they always say, there's a price to be paid. How many of us ever heard about, you have to pay the price. You got to pay it up front. And it's going to be a grind. You're going to do all the things that most people are not willing to do so you can have all the things. We've all heard that narrative, right? And we've all heard that, without pain, there's no gain. Like, we all heard those narratives, right? I was listening to Wayne Dyer, and he passed away 2 years ago. And he said something, and he said, what if you lived your entire life and you believed these beliefs your entire life, and right before you died, you realized you lived a lie? What if? Right? I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. I went to speak to one of the Canadian leaders. What's his name again? The one that always, no, not Vidal. The one that always, like, Harinder. Yeah. Harinder was having an event, and he was having his top 100 leaders, right? His top 100 leaders that were six-figure earners, current six-figure earners, and up. He's having a retreat, right? And Harinder does not believe in the word no, right? So for 1 year, and I told him, I said, this is literally harassment. Like, literally, Hawaii last year, he said, Charlie, I need you to come speak at my event. I said, Harinder, I'm not speaking at your event. And he literally kept asking me and asking me and asking me and asking me. And I was like, dude, no. He's like, well, no means not now. I said, no means no. I'm not coming. Like, literally. So literally. And then he said, I know so much you're coming, I'm going to put you on my poster. I was like, I don't care. You're not going to shame and guilt me. You put me on your poster. I'm not coming. I'm not coming to talk to you guys. Blah, 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 all this stuff, right? I'm going to send a car to pick you up. So finally, I went. Right? I willed it to happen. Right? Just like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing. So I go to his event, and I'm sitting there, and I'm watching one of his speakers speak. And it's a young couple, and he's telling a story. They just went over 300,000. They've been in the business for like 4 years, and they just went over 300,000 in cash flow. And he's telling his story. He said he goes to this BPM, right? And he's really excited, right? He's really excited. The absolute scenario of disaster, right? So he goes to BPM. He's really excited. He goes to talk to his friend. And his friend says to him, whoa, what are you all excited about? He said, well, I went to this meeting, and they told me that I can achieve my dreams, I can do this, I can do that. And the guy goes, whoa, you know what they say, if it sounds too good to be true, then it is. Now, I want you to stop and think about what just happened. Nationwide spends $300 million to program you to say that. What actually programmed you to say what you just said? Deep.
Well, us.
Yeah.
My wife and I, whenever we start having, I go, deep, right? Now think about this, right? So he said, if it sounds too good to be true, then it's probably too good to be true. And at that point when he said that, his friend said that, it's almost his dream bubble right? He came into our environment. This bubble, they started selling him the dream. He started to believe in it, and pop, it popped. Deflated. He goes home. He's sitting next to his wife. He's laying next to his wife. And his wife goes, "Baby, what's wrong?" And he says, "I'm so down right now." He says, "I went to a meeting. They told me this, they told me that, they told me this, they told me that, and I believed it. But then when I went to speak to my friend told me, it's like, he says, come back to reality. Come back to reality. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true." And his wife says this to him. His wife says this, "But babe, what if it's true? What if it's true?" And he held on to that. 3 years later, he's going over 300,000.
Wow.
Across over half. Isn't that crazy? So you ask yourself, is it worth it? Right? Is it worth it? Right? So, do I have a picture? Oh wow, we're gonna have to go really fast, right? So we've talked about, is it worth it? I want to go over some stuff with you. Just pull up the whole page, right? So you talk about recruiting. This is a recruiting business building, right? So you take a look at our business format system, right? The 6 steps and 8 speed filters. Why is recruiting important? Why do we create stories that recruiting is tough, or I'm not really a good recruiter. I've never been a really good recruiter. Double-digit recruiting is hard, or inviting people to a BPM. People are not interested. I went to do a meeting in Salt Lake, in Utah, and the team there told me, "Well, Dan, it's different out here. People don't go to meetings out here." I said, "Wait a minute, isn't this Utah?" I was like, "What do you mean people don't go to meetings, right?" And they created this story that people don't go to meetings. I was like, "Where's your church?" What if the pastor got up and said, "Hey, people don't come to meetings." I was just like, it's the craziest stories that we tell ourselves, and we believe it, right? And then our brain is so powerful, our brain finds things, right, to feed whatever story we're telling our brain, right? So when you look at it, you go, okay, recruiting and budgets. What if you believe recruiting was easy? What if you believe everyone's looking for you, everyone's looking for an opportunity, right? What if you reinvented yourself? And said, "You know what? I'm at the perfect timing right now. The company's got a tremendous amount of momentum. The marketplace, people are looking for a great opportunity. We have the best opportunity." What if you believe that, right? Now, if you believe that, right, all of these individuals will show up. It would be effortless for you, right? Now, what if you believe the business was easy? What if you believe I don't have to struggle in order to win? What if you believe there are no rainy days? There are rainy days because you believe there's a rainy day. Right? So a lot of times what happens is we don't question our beliefs. We never ask ourselves, "Well, why do I believe that?" And whether it's true or not, how does that serve me to believe that? Right? So I want to create stories, right? I want to create stories that validate, that's in alignment with my purpose. Does that make sense? Yes. So every time I read a magazine, every time I read a paper, I always find things that support the belief that I have about our business, right? So now you look at law of large numbers and law of averages, right? How do you create momentum, right? Leaders are great at creating momentum, right? So how do you create momentum where now you become more attractive? More attractive in the sense that people will fight to come in front of you because they believe that you have something that they want, right? What if you believe that? I remember the first time, right, that thought came into my mind. So I'm running like 30, 40, 50 appointments a week, right? I'm like running all over the place, place, right? From LA to Orange County to this place, this place, this place. And one day I'm sitting in traffic and I asked myself a question. And I said, Charlier, who do you need to become in order where you can sit in one place and everybody comes to you? I asked myself that question. I was like, wait a minute. I can actually sit in one place and everybody comes to me? Right? And then I started thinking about, well, who do I know that sits in one place and provides that much value that everybody comes to them? Right? So during that time, I had hurt my back. Right? I hurt my back. I twitched my back because I had a 9mm back spasm. Right? And I told everybody how much my back hurt. And the more I told people, the more my back hurt. It's the craziest thing, right? And so I'm doing a BPM, and I have my leg up like this, and I'm talking to like 100 people. I say, hey, the reason I have my leg up, I had a 9mm back spasm, my back's killing me right now, but I'm still going to talk to you guys. So, like, the more I'm telling, the more my back hurt, the more I'm telling, the more my back hurt. So I'm sitting there, and I'm done with the BPM. One of my leaders came up to me and says, Dan, I have a friend, he's a really good friend, and he's one of the top back specialists. I forgot what the name of him. Not a chiropractor, he's one top back specialist. People fly from all over the world to come see this guy. I'm going to make sure I get you an appointment with this guy, right? So at the time, I'm running like 50, 60 appointments. So every minute on my schedule is accounted for, right? So my assistant at the time was Jessica. It wasn't Chris Wolf. So I called her and said, Jessica, get the appointment. She gets the appointment, right? And you know how doctors are, right? Doctors always think their time's more valuable than yours, and they waste your time, and do all that stuff. You go sit in the doctor's office and wait. You have a 1 o'clock appointment, they don't see you until 2:30. I don't play that. I don't play that. And at that time, my schedule was so intense, I don't have room in my schedule for that crap. So my assistant knows. She's like, okay, she calls her assistant over there. She says, okay, we got a 1 o'clock appointment. Let me get all the paperwork, let me fill it out, I'll send it in, I'll send all the cards, all the stuff. Dan's on a very, very tight schedule. He has an opening, he has blocked out from 1 to 2. And after that, he's really busy. I need to make sure that the doctor's gonna see him exactly at 1 o'clock, right? So she does all of that stuff, right? So I show up, 12:45, and the doctor's assistant is this precious older lady, right? Precious, just really nice, kind of like a grandmother, just really nice. She's like, oh, Mr. Charlier, Dr. So-and-so's so awaiting to see you. Monica called in, and we know she's a personal friend and all this. I said, oh, thank you. Have some coffee and have some cookies. The doctor will be with you all the time. And she's like, okay. So I signed in and all this stuff. So I sit down, and it's 1 o'clock. No doctor. 1:15. So I get up, and she said, oh, Mr. Charlier. She said, Dr. So-and-so, he had something urgent he had to take care of. Just be patient. Just sit down. He'll be with you. So I sit right down, and I'm freaking pissed. Like my ego's like, right? I'm pissed. It's 1:30. She's like, Mr. Charlier, oh my God, he sent his apologies. He'll be with. It's 1:45. I'm done. I don't care, sweet, no sweet. Mr. Charlier, I'm done. So I literally walk up to the thing. I says, look, and I'm pissed now, right? So I'm that. Whole little, right? And I said to her, I says, look, I understand, Dr. Book, I gotta go, I've got a real busy schedule, I gotta go, all this stuff. And she goes, oh, Mr. Charlier, he's gonna be so disappointed. Right? And I said, it's okay, I can get past the disappointment. I said, let's schedule another time where I can meet with her. And she goes, okay, and then she takes his book. So I think it was like April, right? She takes his book, and she looks. She goes to May. She looks. She goes to June. She looks. She goes to July. She looks. She goes to August. She goes, Mr. Charlier, we found a date. We found a date. We can see you August. And I said, how long do you think he's going to be? He says, he's really rushing. He wants to see you. I said, okay, I can wait. And I go back and sit down, and I said, oh my God. And literally, I got it. It hit me. Like the law of large numbers, the law of averages, it hit me. I said, this guy's time is so valuable, and he's so great at what he does, right? People shift their schedule, they shift their time, they fly from other countries because they believe that he has something that they do. Let me ask you a question. What if you provided that type of value in your business? What if you provided that type of value? Not your income, not 100, I gotta make $250,000, I got SMD, I got EMD, I gotta do EBC, right? But you provided value. Those things are byproducts of you creating value. Isn't that credible? Yes. So when you look at the law of averages, the law of large numbers, right? I had someone tell me the other day, says to me, well, Dan, how do you overcome objections? When are you going to start giving objections? What are you going to say? Let me give you an example. So I'm doing a one-on-one the other day, right? Anybody has a calculator? I'm doing a one-on-one the other day, right? And for the first time, right? So one of the things that I did is that I challenged myself to a new goal, and I'm not wearing any jewelry till I hit that goal, right? Outside my cufflinks, right? Because I have to have cufflinks. I have French cuffs. So I'm doing this appointment, and I dressed down for the appointment. I literally dressed down for the appointment. I'm doing a one-on-one. Guy goes, hey man, I got a question for you. Right? And he goes, how much money you make? And I said, wow. I said, wow, what a great question. I said, I haven't been asked that in a long time. I said, but let me ask you a question. How much money you make? And he says, I make $65,000. I said, a year or a month? And he said, a year. I said, man, that's awesome. I said, let me tell you something. I said, how old are you? He said, 32 years old. I said, man, when I was 32, you make way more money than me when I was 32 years old. At 32, I've never made more than $2,800 a month. I said, well, let me ask you a question, man. How many hours a day are you putting in right now? And he tells me 16 hours a day. I said, 16 hours in one day? You're actually working? He says, yeah. I said, well, how many days a week are you doing that? He said, 6. I said, wow. I said, no way, right? And so I pull out the calculator. I said, well, what's 16 times 6? Right? So he tells me, what's 16 times 6? 96. So he's putting in 96 hours of his time on a weekly basis. Times 4 is how many hours? 300 and what? 384 hours of his time. You ever hear people say, I ain't got time? You ever hear people say that? Yes. Well, you're putting 386 hours, right? Most people don't have time. When I was broke, I never had time. You know why I never had time? Because I didn't understand the value of my time. That's why I never had time. That's why we waste time, right? So I said, 386 hours you're putting in a month. I said, wow, how does that feel? This is me, this is my one-on-one. How does that feel? He said, well, what do you mean? He says, everybody does that. I said, what if everybody didn't have to do that. Because I used to think like that. Because all my associations, everybody I hung out with, we all worked that kind of hours, so we never knew anything was wrong. Matter of fact, the military told me, right? The military told me, God first, right? Country second, core third. If we wanted you to have a family, we would issue you. Do you believe that? People say, sometimes people say, well, you know, that WFG thing is a cult and they brainwash me. Yeah, I'm glad they brainwashed me. They brainwashed me to believe that I could actually achieve my dreams. Right? So I'm talking to this guy, I said, so $65,000 a year, I said, what is that after taxes, what does that bring you home? Would you say like $4,500? About $4,500 a month? I said, have you ever looked at your earning power? So we did 386 divided by 4,500. 396 divided by 4,500. Came up with what? So I said, so right now, your time is worth what? $11 an hour. Don't get caught in detail like this. Okay? $11 an hour. I'll round it off to 12 for those of you that are detailed. Lose the big picture. $12 an hour. $12 an hour. I said, but that's not what we're talking about. You asked me a question. I said, I work really, right? Because I'm at a different stage in my career. I probably put in, real number, 20 hours a week. Real number. That's probably a stretch. Right? So I put in 80 hours a month. Right? So what's 80 divided by 120? 120,000. Come on, someone anticipate.
15 grand.
15,000.
What's that?
15,000.
15,000 an hour. I said, so this conversation right here, right now, is actually costing me money. The conversation that we're having. No, this is me talking to him, not talking to you guys.
I was like,
You follow me? This is me talking to him, I'm not talking to you guys. You guys are awesome. Right? And so I'm having this conversation, and I notice the energy shifted. And I said to him, let's talk about what really matters here. What really matters is not how much money I make. What really matters is your dream. What is it that you want? Why do you want it? What is that you think about all this time? We started talking about his dream. And I said to him, I says, look, you achieving those things that you just said depends on one thing. Whether I make the decision that I'm going to invest my time into. Think about it. Think about it. Right? What happened with me? I had a leader that believed in me, saw what I wanted, invested time in me, encouraged me, challenged me, gave me an environment to grow in, kept challenging me. Did I always like him? No. Was there a time that he rubbed me the wrong way? Yes. But does that happen in the job too? Of course. You think you're gonna, some people, well, I don't like so-and-so in the office. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China? There's people at your job you don't like. You don't quit your job and, hey, I didn't come to work today for Bob this Right? So when you look at that, right, pull up the next slide. When you look at that, recruiting can become fun, right? Recruiting can become fun. Building a big base shop, you talk about building a big base shop. Why build a big base shop, right? Is that the big base shop, right, is where, like my base shop did 30 recruits last month, right? My base shop hasn't dropped underneath double-digit recruiting in like years. I was showing someone the other day, since 2001, till currently now, there's only 9 months that my personal base shop have ever dropped underneath double digit. Since 2001, right? And so what if you believe in the leadership development of building a team is that you're constantly having new raw material. When we say new raw material, we're talking about new leaders that are coming into this environment. And sometimes what happens is we're recruiting people, we're giving them the opportunity, but we unemotionalize whether they stay in or not, right? So what starts to happen, you recruit a couple of people, they quit, you create a story. I have people tell me all the time, they say, "What?" I have people tell me all the time, they'll say, "Well, Dan, I tried recruiting and it doesn't work." Thank you. Give her a round of applause. I've had people say to me, big change. So I had people tell me, recruiting doesn't work. And how did you come up with that story? Well, I tried it one time. I tried it. Right? And you think about some of the things that we talk about, some of the things we when you understand human nature, you understand people, you go, that's the craziest thing. Why would I think that? In every other business, that would not be an option. So that's like me owning a gym, right? And we had 50 memberships this month. And at the end of the month, me and my business partner, we assess the gym. And we go, hey, we have 50 members by memberships, but only 15 members are actually showing up to the gym. And from those 15 that show up to the gym, only 5 of them got trainers. And from the 5 who got trainers, only 1 really got in shape. But we sold 50 memberships, and we go, hey, something's wrong. We need to stop selling memberships. See how crazy that is? But you do that in your business. You go, hey, we recruited 30, but only 20 got licensed. And from the 20 that got licensed, 10 of them are not showing up. From the 10 of them that are not showing up, 5 of them actually in the field. From the 5 in the field, 1. And we don't really understand human nature. We don't really understand. Now, is there some systems you could put in place? Of course. Is there some training? Of course. But in the big picture, you must understand the big picture of human nature. Follow me? So the law of averages, the law of large numbers, the larger the number is going to be, right, the more you're going to be able to see better things in your picture, in your business. When your business is small, everything's magnified. One person quits, everybody knows that person quit. But if you got 100, 200 people coming out, you don't even know who quit. You don't even know what happened to them. They pop back up 3 months later, oh my God, I was thinking about you, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So now you start to take a look, what about if you embrace building a big base shop? You say, hey, you know what? All great things come with those who build a big base shop. It's a leadership factory. You got compensation. You have time. It helps you free your time. You got the next wave of leaders coming in. And like you embrace that part of it, and you don't look at it like it's all this work that you got to do. Pull up the next page. Right? Now you go, okay, well, I remember when I first looked at this, right? And my challenge at this point, how much is that? My challenge at this point was, okay, I had a secure job, right? I lived on base, I got medical, I got dental, I was W-2 for like 20 years. I was exchanging my time for a fixed amount, increase of income control by employer. So the military told me how much they would pay me. I knew 10, 15, 20, 30 years how much I was going to get paid, right? promotions decided by employer. So I remember, like, and literally when you become a staff and CO in the Marine Corps, you have what's called fitness reports, right? Your fitness report, it's not like a fitness report. It's a fitness report based on your promotion. So Christopher, there's 52 categories that you can judge me on, that if I don't get a noteworthy in every 52 category, my chance of promotion is passed. Isn't that crazy? So what ends up happening, whoever your boss is, whoever your officer has major leverage on you. So you know what that kind of environment was? If the boss played golf, everybody played golf. Because the boss played golf. If the boss liked jogging, everybody jogged. Why? Because the boss likes to jog. Right? So it became this environment, so I got into this environment where I loved being with the Marines, but then when I dealt with my peers, it was like, if I said something that you didn't agree with, right, you could hit me on my fitness report. I remember I got hit for cooperation. Just because I challenged something. And then I said, well, can you explain to me what you mean? I don't have to. And what that meant, my promotion to first sergeant would never happen, just because of that one check mark. Can you imagine that? You have that at your job. Time off decided by employer. Remember, my mom was sick. I wanted to go see my mom in New York, right? I'm a grown man, 33 years old. I had to request permission to have 3 days off to go see my mom. And you know what they told me? Nope, you can't go. And you know what I had to do? Take it. Okay. Or I go, it's Article 86, unauthorized absence, and your little butt gets thrown in the brig. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
Overtime decided by employment, left by decided by employer. Benefits decided by employer, no guarantee of employment. Environment impacted by employer designed by your position, must meet management expectation, often negative environment, right? So this is my environment. This is my environment. And I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm not saying it's all bad. I love being a Marine, right? I love being a Marine. But I didn't have anything to compare it to. You follow me? So there's a saying, proximity is power. Proximity is power. So when you're in an environment, and that's all you know, you don't have anything to compare it to. Right? So when we start talking about associations, we start to talk about proximity as power. Now when you shift your association, right? Now you start to assess, you go, well, wait a minute. I remember the first time I had a conversation, I'm talking to Ed, and we're talking, and I was like, oh man, I gotta tell you what my boss says. And he looked at me with this disgusting look on his face. And I knew something was